Well, like you said, Steph, follow that. So I'm all right, Steph, in thinking that you used to teach at my primary school.
Probably. I didn't teach you, love.
Not when I was
It's a small world, is Lancashire. Okay, so I'm William Titley. I teach at the University of Lancashire, which is called the University of Central Lancashire. I'm senior lecturer in MA Fine Arts, so I teach postgrads, which I think is probably a lot easier than what Steph's been doing, which sounds really tricky to me. But I'm going to talk about this project called the Curlew Way, which I initiated about in 2022, 2023. And it's because I moved into a new house and I was doing some work on the roof one day when we were mending the roof, and this bird flew right over my head and landed in the field next to my garden. That field was actually the sports field of the adjacent high school. And I knew it were a curlew bird because I'd seen it before, but not that close before. So I became fascinated by it, and it felt like I was living with the curlews for a few weeks. Anyhow, when I'd finished all the work, I did a little bit of research into the bird and found out that it were endangered. And as a socially engaged artist, which means I like working with communities and places, and usually where I live, because I don't like to travel too far because I'm lazy. I call it armchair research. But it felt like it just landed on my lap. This bird, it was endangered, it was flying right over my garden. It was either in the front field, in the front of my house, or it was on the school field at the back of my house. So I thought I needed a project. I'd just finished my PhD. I needed something to get my teeth into. And I thought, right, I'll do something for the curlew bird. Did a bit of research and I thought, what can I do? Somebody on their own without any money. And so I liked walking and I liked the countryside. And then I was talking to somebody about the bird and they said, you know, some birds in East Lancs might go to Morecambe Bay for the winter. And being a romantic artist, I thought, oh, that's nice, because that's where I used to go for the summer when I was young. And so I thought, a bit out of the blue, like Mary, I thought I'll walk from Colne in East Lancs, where I live, all the way to Morecambe Bay. And yeah, the Curlew Way was kind of born from that idea. And so in 2023, I basically just put this little call out on social media saying, I'm going to walk across the county. If anybody would like to join me, and we'll talk about the landscape and our relationship to the landscape, please join me, because I don't know all the way. I only knew East Lancashire from Colne to the top of Pendle Hill, because we used to do that regularly as children. Beyond that, it was complete blur. And so I just put it on, put some dates and times. People emailed me and said, oh yeah, I'll turn up. Some people didn't. On one of the walks, I turned up once and no one was there, and it was a torrential rain, and trying to find it, I think it was this one, and I was just about to set off. I was actually toying with the idea of going home, because it was that bad, and I didn't know the route, and then somebody rang me and said, oh, you're not doing it on your own, eh? I said, well, I'm going to try, and he went, I'll come and do it with you, and it turned out he was an actual walking guide for bowling, so that was brilliant. I would not have got across there without him. And just like all the other routes, I would never have done it without the other people. And so on the route, we talked about men, because some groups were just men. Talked about men, depression, suicide, all sorts of things. We talked about first experiences of going out into the countryside as children. And then we also talked about the countryside being like this lifesaver for some people. And the walk right across was about 60-odd miles. And so I split it into 7 walks, shared over 7 weekends from July, which coincided with the curlews leaving East Lancs because we didn't want to disturb them. And so it was kind of like a game of catch-up. Will we see a curlew this time? Well, I think we saw a couple on the first walk and then one in the middle, and then we didn't see any more until we got down to Morecambe Bay at the coast. And this still is a video still of a 16-minute video. If you want to watch it, it's you can access it via my website. It's on YouTube, and it's basically I've got this. I'm interested in trying to show all the participants in a participatory art project as much as I can. So it's basically all the walks. When I was walking, I were all getting a GoPro and obviously my phone, walking, talking with these people. And so each video is each one of the walks all running at the same time, but with the audio just selected, certain bits of audio just picked out, which I thought was kind of key subjects that we discuss. And then this bottom video is just a video of me cleaning this stuffed curlew, which when I became obsessed with the bird, I tried to get one so I could draw it. And anyway, they were really expensive. I found one purely by coincidence on eBay. There are other auction sites available. But I found it, and because it was so cheap, I just bought it, because it said it was in Lancashire. And then it turned out that when I went to pick it up, it was actually on the route as we'd actually passed the street where I picked the bird up from, which, as a romantic artist, I thought, I'm going to complete its migration route back to his Lancashire. So a little coincidence there. Let's get the next slide up. That was 2023. Alongside that, I was also thinking about ways to start conversations with the school about the bird, which was kind of grazing on their field, their sports field, during the breeding season in these Lancs. And in the loft of the house that I was doing up, I found this old bird book, a couple of bird books, but in this little observer book, the previous owner from the 1930s had written some nest sightings and egg sightings from the 1937 to about 1941. And he'd only written on 3 bird pages out of the whole book, the lapwing, the curlew and the oyster catcher. All those birds were on this field, and I just felt like it was a message from the past, obviously a romantic artist, telling me to do something. And so this text is taken from the book. It says the book at the top now, look, 1938. And I screen printed this print onto a vintage Sabutio pitch, which I just happened to have one. And I thought, I'll just print it onto that. Perfect, it's a football pitch. I'll gift it to the school, and they'll say, what's that? And we'll have a conversation about all the birds on their field. Also, at the same time, I was collecting rubbish from the field, which was blowing from the sports field into my garden, mainly crisp packets and sweet wrappers, washing it, and I kept thinking, I'll make something, and then send it back to the school, and they'll have to have a conversation about all the litter blowing out of their bins. And so that was just something bubbling around inside me while I was doing other things. I'll come back to that again in a minute. And then in 2024, I thought, what I'll do this time, I'll monitor the curlew as it arrives in East Lancs all the way through until it disappears in July. And so that's what I did. I videoed it, photographed it. A lot of the stuff was basically just from my window. That's why I call it armchair research. This is a still from the video. Normally I click on these and it show you a video, but we haven't got time. But this one, I filmed some curlews mating just while I was sat at my computer working, and they just started mating in the field. Armchair research. And then while I was doing that, I was also thinking, what could I do if I had some funding? And it weren't just me that was doing something. So because I work at the university, I thought I would tap into those sorts of funding streams. And I invited some people to join me to form a team. So Professor Julian Manley became a co-investigator from the School of Health, Social Work and Sport. Well, I'm an artist. I like making things. I don't like doing anything else. And I'm really bad at kind of evaluation and stuff like that. I know that he's really good at that. So it was perfect. I don't really know a lot about curlews. So I invited Hilary Maguire from the Royal Society of the Protection of Birds onto the team, and then Cathy Hopley from the Forest of Bowland National Landscapes, who I knew that she knew a lot about Bowland and the footpaths that went through Bowland. And then we decided to approach the school as a key stakeholder and say, we're going to do this project. Do you want to be the key stakeholder? And we'll do some workshops with your group of year 10 and 11, I think you were. They were about age 13, 14. And the idea was to do some creative workshops, some field trips to Morecambe and Bowland, look at habitats and nest protection workshops, and then have a big art exhibition at PR1 Gallery, which is on the campus at Preston. And also to pay for some maps of the Curlew Way route, so that this year we could actually do it with a proper map. And by the way, there's some prototypes of that map, which I don't want to take home, and they're on the table outside and they're free. And actually, if you open it up, you'll see a lot of the artwork that the kids made inside the map. So they act as like a map, a conceptual map, but also as like an exhibition catalogue in a way. The funding, which I did successfully get eventually from National Lottery Heritage Fund, allowed me to do lots of other stuff and learn about landscape management and bird protection, nest protection workshops. I went on a scraper demo, and then we sifted for some worms, what kind of things that waders would eat. And then it allowed us to pay a local farmer to do some scrapes in his own land to create some feeding stations. On his particular land, we didn't think that curlews would nest around there, or they might stop off when they're migrating. So really quickly, here's some ideas about what we did on the workshops. That's our trip to Morecambe at the top. The crisp packets eventually turned into this, which is, we talked about it, I pitched it to the kids as a future creature. This is what a curlew might look like if it eats some of your crisp wraps for decades. It might end up looking like this. And then we sat on their sports field. There's a curlew on their sports field. We did lots of other creative stuff, mainly art making. We found an oyster catcher nest at the base of a tree, which was really strange. And on the last workshop at the school, just as the school broke up for summer, the trust that owns the school submitted plans to the local council to install a plastic pitch on the sides. So the project then got dragged into local politics, and I had to do talks at the local council, and that is still going on as we keep fighting to stop this plastic pitch being installed. And so these are the species that I'd already documented on the school pitch before they announced this plastic pitch thing. So granted, the school probably didn't know about this when they were thinking about the plastic pitch, and they also probably didn't know that this project were going to do what it did when we started it, because it sounds like they already knew that they were going to put a plastic pitch in when I started the project with them. And so, to bring you right up to date, there's me modelling the... whoops, let's go back. So this year, I'm hoping to publish the project book, which is slightly behind because of the pitch saga and council. We're going to publish some new maps, updated walking maps with all their artworks in. We're going to continue to do some walking and talking. I'll continue to make art, and I'll just show you this. Because as an artist, things evolve. Things evolve into different things as we go along. Quite often I start something not knowing where it's going to end up. But because of the plastic pitch and because of the council meetings that I have to go, the Sabutio print has now turned into a protest flag. Because my garden overlooks the school, I'm thinking, shall I use all those 6 of them? To be continued.